Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy. Crazy. Crazy.
Insanity, according to Oxford, Webster, Cambridge, Urban, and Britannica, can be defined as extreme foolishness or irrationality, a severely disordered state of the mind usually occurring as a specific disorder. The condition of being very annoyed, angry, upset, or excited, often so that you cannot think or behave normally, or, in a legal setting, a mental defect that can relieve a person of criminal responsibility. In my opinion, insanity can be defined as an unwillingness to act rationally in a preferred setting. However, insanity throughout the ages of the world has been seen as a form of irrational madness and can be diagnosed when you commit acts that are naturally wrong but have no form or reason as to why it was done in the first place. As the world has developed, the definition has changed, and being insane at something can mean you are unnaturally good at what you're doing. Ultimately, insanity is not a fixed concept, but a reflection of society's values, evolving from a label of irrational madness to a term shaped by context, culture, and perspective. So, insanity, according to the Oxford, Webster, Cambridge, Urban, and Britannica dictionaries, can be defined as either extreme foolishness, a disordered state of the mind, being angry, annoyed, upset, or excited, often so that you cannot think or behave normally, or alternatively, in a legal setting, it is a mental defect that can relieve someone of criminal responsibilities. So, with that being said, why do you think insanity has so many different definitions across the academic, medical, and legal contexts?
I think it has so many definitions because it's defined by characteristic of each person. Each person has their own defined insanity within, I guess you could say, themselves because of the way they think and the way they act. And that corresponds to the way it's put out, whether it's being uh, school or related to legal aspects or related to the state of the mind. So that's my reasoning.
All right. And I don't know how much of a history person you are, but historically, how do you think society has identified or diagnosed insanity? And what kind of behaviors do you think were considered naturally wrong back then?
Well, the way I think we defined insanity back then was being different from the average person, being different from what should be normal, doing something out of the ordinary, or even thinking a different way. That could be different types of insanity.
How has the meaning of insanity evolved as the world and social norms have developed over time? Like, how has insanity changed as the world has changed?
With history and time, the world has changed now. Things are completely different than how they were before. But with that, being indifferent has been meshed together with crazy nowadays. If you think about crazy, you think about insanity. And if you back at it now, all the historians, their ideas and their ways of thinking were thought about, they just thought they were crazy. Like people nowadays looking back at it, reading their textbooks, reading their thoughts, reading their theories, we thought they were crazy to come up with that stuff. People back then thought they were even crazier to come up with that stuff because they're thinking indifferently. And that's pretty insane.
Do you think calling someone insane today says more about the individual or the society's expectations of rational behavior?
I think the society's rational behavior because we all live up to a social norm nowadays, right? Everyone must act this way, everyone must be this way, surprisingly enough. But there's some people that aren't. They're just a little different. Sometimes someone won't do this, sometimes someone won't do that, sometimes someone will do this. And this, you know, mayhaps be the right way. And the right way is the social norm, apparently. And insanity could be meshed together with that, saying that since someone did something indifferently, a different way, not what is used to be seen, sawn, what is not used to be seen, that's pretty just crazy. You know, that's people mention crazy and they people mention insanity.
Okay, final question. Ultimately, should insanity be defined by mental state, behavior, intention, or social judgment?
I feel like a little bit of all. It's kind of sad nowadays though how insanity has gotten to mental judgment though. There's good types of insanity, then there's also bad types of insanity. You know, and with that, the social norm nowadays kind of dictates which path it goes down, either left or right. And with the mental state and social norm, it leads to intentions, actions, and behaviors can be dictated and judged by the social norms that we have today and by their mental state, because two and two go together. As I said, it will lead down left or right. And it's for us to pick which path it it ends up in, which bubble. And it's just sad to say that all of these characteristics lead up into only one word: insanity.
Do you think you're insane?
I think everyone's a little insane. And I'm saying that as in everyone's different. No one will think the same. No one will act the same. No one will be the same. Everyone will have similarities, but that doesn't make you the same. It makes you different from each other. And that's why I think I'm insane.
Said, why do you think insanity has so many different definitions across academic, medical, and legal contexts?
Well, I think it has all of these definitions because it kind of has to. Because, say, for example, you're going into court and someone's trying to act like they're insane. If you don't have any of the data or the definition or anything to go off of what is insane, what does that mean, then they could be getting away with whatever crime they're doing, whether it be something small such as, shoplifting or whatever, to doing a triple homicide or something. Like, because we don't have that data to back it up, we wouldn't know. So that's why I think we have all these definitions.
All right. Historically, how has society identified or diagnosed insanity, and what kind of behaviors were considered naturally wrong back then?
Well, this question kind of hinges off of how far back do you want to actually go. If we're saying way back in 1800s, for example, things considered naturally wrong and would categorize you as mentally ill are things such as alcohol abuse and drug addiction. So then you would be sent off to a doctor that says that you're possessed and then cuts you to let the devil out of your blood. So versus modern day, they have remedies for this stuff and it's drastically improved.
All right. How has the meaning of insanity evolved as the world and social norms have developed over time?
I think it's evolved for the better, creating a more clear statement of what does it mean and what action should be taken place for the definition that is being chosen. It's created a more accommodating approach where you can actually potentially get better off of where you were in your state of life versus being sent to the electric chair or getting lobotomized because they're doing experiments on you because you're mentally insane.
Do you think calling someone insane today says more about the individual or about society's expectations of rational behavior?
I think if you're directly just calling someone insane just to call them insane, that's just more so society's expectation that they put out for people. It's more so a blanket statement at this point versus the actual thing whenever it's used in those terms, because most people don't know what insanity truly means and what it can encompass as a whole. So I would say it's more based off of just society and how it has evolved over time, unless it is being used within a legal setting or medical setting. Uh,
Ultimately, should insanity be defined by mental state, behavior, intention, or societal judgment?
I think to define it, it takes all of these aspects just listed, because your mental state will directly affect your behavior that you're having, and then your behavior will directly affect your intentions, along with your mental state will directly affect your intentions. So all of that stuff encompassed will create the societal judgment of you as a person. And using all of these things that are encompassed, that's how the court systems and hospitals tell if someone is actually insane, because those signs of where that person is at that actually categorizes them like that is what's judged. It's not just about one of these aspects being a core aspect of it. It's about all of it as a whole.
Do you think you're insane?
In terms of the legal and medical setting, I'd say no. But in terms of the societal standard of just being blanketly called insane, I'd say maybe. Because really, nowadays, you kind of have to have a little bit of, well, I guess it's not insanity, I guess more like craziness in order to have that drive to accomplish things rather than just being all lackadaisical and not really doing a whole lot. So I'd say a little bit if you go off of the societal standard, but not off of the medical and criminal side of it, I guess.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Why do you think insanity has so many different definitions across the academic, medical, and legal contexts?
Well, I mean, I feel like it really comes with how you perceive insanity and what you would define it to be. Um, because I guess clinically speaking, insanity would be this state of mind that someone may be in, and maybe it's not a good headspace, or like maybe insanity could be defined as um I guess in like a normal world like context, like maybe you see someone on the street and maybe they're just kind of like acting out of place, and we consider that maybe some sort of like form of insanity. um there's just so many things that kind of go into it, but I feel like the main part of it is just like how we as people and as like a culture also uh define that term.
Yeah. All right. Historically, how has society identified or diagnosed insanity, and what kind of behaviors were considered naturally wrong back then?
I think it's just anything that's considered just out of like if you act out of maybe character, out of the ordinary, like um I feel like society kind of like, or within our society, you are kind of expected to act within a certain way, and I feel like if you go against that, it's you're kind of viewed as like someone that's pretty crazy or like mentally insane. Um,
Mhm.
but I think it's I don't think that that definition or the way we view it has changed all that much especially like in like today's culture, it's still like the same where like um you know, you have your everyday person, and then if you see something that if you see someone that may be acting, you know, out of pocket or just like way out of line within like the social setting, they're deemed as someone that might be insane.
Yeah, I agree. Um, how has the meaning of insanity evolved as the world and social norms have developed over time? Like, how has the word like and meaning of it evolved as the world has evolved?
I mean, I feel like its definition and its meaning has definitely changed based on like um again like how like what I said earlier, like how you perceive it to be. Um someone that maybe mentally isn't stable can be an example of insanity. Um maybe someone that just, you know, doesn't really follow the social norms can be considered someone that is insane. I mean, I it also goes as deep as like even slang, I guess if you want to count that, but
Yeah.
um there's so many different things because it really goes into what you're meaning by saying it. Um but I guess that's also within the due context of whatever situation you may be in. If someone, you know, if someone's acting like really crazy out in public, you may view them as insane. Or let's say, you know, you're at a sports event, someone does like one of the players does some crazy play. You may think, wow, what they did was pretty insane.
Yeah, I agree with
Uh,
that.
but yeah, no, there's just so many. I mean, there's so many different like ways now that we really can just define this one word. And I don't also necessarily think it's within like a good or bad context. I don't think it can be meant only as a derogatory term uh, for someone that may be not mentally there.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah. Do you think calling someone insane today says more about the individual or about society's expectation of rational behavior, like according to like the dictionary type of definitions?
I think a lot of it really goes towards the person today. I feel like it's very rare that we use that word. We call someone by that word, and it is a reflection of uh society standards and the social norms. Um, I really think it's just based on how one person, how based on the person, how they present themselves or how they act. I don't think it necessarily goes towards what we have all collectively defined it to be.
Yeah. Ultimately, should insanity be defined by mental state, behavior, intention, or societal judgment?
I mean, personally, I feel like insanity should be should be based off of someone like I guess their mental stability and their actions. I don't think it should be based around what we define it to be. Because I mean, I agree more with the clinical term for insanity than I do with what we as people collectively define it to be.
All right. Um, do you think you're insane?
I don't think I'm like insane, but I do feel like everyone's just like, you know, like I feel like everyone's a little bit crazy, you know. But I don't think I'm like fully insane. I feel like I'm mentally there.
Why do you think insanity has so many different definitions across the academic, medical, and legal contexts?
The reason why I think insanity has different definitions across the academic, medical, and legal context is because it's unique to the person or across the board. It's just unique.
Historically, how has society identified or diagnosed insanity, and what kind of behaviors were considered naturally wrong back then?
This one's difficult. Well, there's a lot of things that could be considered wrong and just not normal. And I think that those things that can be considered wrong were, like, for instance, homosexuals. You know, because not a lot of people understood that love can be subjective. Another example I can think of is cultures. Cultures, you know, have different beliefs. People can consider that insanity since it's not their way of thinking. And a final example I can think of is personality-wise. Not everyone's the same. Other people might find you crazy.
How has the meaning of insanity evolved as the world and social norms have developed over time? Like, how has the meaning changed as the world has changed?
As we grow as people, we figured things that were normal or not normal. So basically, we figure out some things about each other that, hey, it's not as bad as we think it is, you know. But with a lot of time and effort, or a lot of time, we have come to conclusions that, hey, maybe that's not right. Just a lot of time has been put into figuring out what is normal and is not normal.
Do you think calling someone insane today says more about the individual or society's expectations of rational behavior?
In today's world, I feel like it's more individual definition of insanity because there's legal context and then there's a person's definition of its insanity. So it says a lot more about the individual because there's different expectations of the person.
Um, Ultimately, should insanity be defined by mental state, behavior, intention, or societal judgment?
All these 5 words, they combine like it combines really well because they go in hand with each other. But if I had to choose what type of insanity it would be, or the type of category, I would choose mental state because what because one can be insane for one day and be back to normal, or they can be insane for a long time. There's no saying. It's just a state. You can't really control that.
Yeah. All right. Do you think you're insane?
As of right now, no.
Do you think you're insane?
Define insanity.
I already did.
No, I'm kidding.
Do you think you're insane?
At Fortnite, yes.
Alright.
This fucking guy. This fucking guy.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, good shit, bro.
All right, let me read, let me
Hold on.